What's up, guys? Nate Dreiling here with Utah State. First off, finally game week for us. It's been a crazy summer, as you guys know. So the kids are excited. Fall camp went great, came out injury free, and now it's just getting ready for Robert Morris, who if you look at their record, it doesn't look like much opponent, but you look at actually the team that you're playing, it's going to be a great team coming in. They won 4 games last year, and they're still picked third in the conference this year. So they have a lot of returning starters. That's going to be a challenging for us, but as we know, it's never about the opponent; it's always about us. And I'm excited for these kids to put on a show and show this ag community what we're made of. So let's open for some questions. For us is taking him away and making the quarterback go to the second option. About the same thickness as Jalen Royals, just a little bit taller, but he's got great ball skills. So he is a player that has stayed at the FCS level and slid through the cracks. It's going to be a challenge for us for sure.
Coach Dreiling, Jason Turner from the Herald Journal. There was a lot of oars on the defensive depth chart, which I was kind of anticipating just talking to the positional coaches over the last week and a half. Is that something you anticipate being fluid throughout the season?
It's hard to say. Right now, we feel really good about the depth that we have, and now it's just going to be up for those guys to determine who's going to be the starter week in and week out. As you guys know, with our offense, we're going to play 97, 95 to 100 plays on defense, so you'll need two sets of starters. So whether they're out there the first play or not, we know that we have two sets of starters, and it'll always be rotating. It might even be based off of, is it a run team, is it a pass team, all that stuff. The biggest thing about that depth chart for us that we feel good about is we listed a lot of oars. We feel comfortable playing a lot of people.
Coach Alex Behar with KSL. Nice to talk to you. I was talking to a couple of your players the other day, and they were mentioning that like one of the things that you emphasized during fall camp was just kind of like having some fun, having some joy, and that maybe you were really instrumental in coordinating or coming up with really fun kind of team camaraderie ideas. And I'm kind of curious, what are some of the things that you guys did to over the course of fall camp and maybe even a little before to kind of perpetuate the idea of fun?
Yeah, well, I think it's not just having fun, but still finding a way to compete in things. So we had a NCAA tournament challenge, right? So everyone has the video game. Every single player played it like it was a college basketball bracket and worked our way to the championship. We played the final 4 games at the movie theaters here. Surprised them. They thought they were going to see a movie, and we ended up playing the video game there. So that was cool. We had a barbecue contest, cookout contest among all the position groups. Just we wanted things where the guys would be around people, maybe not that they would normally be around, still competing, right? So we actually do get some understanding new people, and now it's not just a name. Now you know who you're actually playing for, because at the end of the day, like talent is awesome, but talent's not going to win you games. It's how much you love one another and how hard you're going to play for each other. So that was a big emphasis for fall camp.
Who won the barbecue contest?
Who won the contest? Jalen Royals lost to Courage on a last-second field goal. It was a tough ending. Fun win for Courage though.
Hey, Coach
Coach
Eric.
Jason Walker with Cache Valley Daily. I showed up late, so I'm sorry if you addressed this question already. But with facing a team in FCS, there's obviously a reputation of these games of being blowouts. But with that in mind, what things do you want to try and accomplish, maybe aside from what the final scoreboard may look like, as far as the difference in points, assuming that you guys do win?
Yeah, no, we don't assume anything. That's why I told him 2 days ago. I said, raise your hand if you lost a football game to something you weren't supposed to, and obviously everyone had their hand up. So that's one thing that we'll always preach. It has nothing to do with the opponents. It always has to do with us and how we're getting better. And I think you're spot on, Jason, that it's not going to be about the score. It's going to be about the process and what our tape actually looks like. We put a lot of time in fundamental and technique and little details that we feel like make a huge difference for us. So that's what we're going to be really diving in when we evaluate the film on Sunday. But ultimately, it's just a chance for the kids to get back out there and have fun, again in front of this home crowd. It's going to be my first game here at Maverick Stadium too, so I'm sure I'm going to be a little antsy and juiced up. So we're just excited for it to finally get here and to perform.
Hey, Coach, Eric Franson with 106.9 The Fan. And just how has the helmet communication worked out for you guys and your quarterbacks, and kind of working through the logistics of that, and how would you assess how it's working?
Yeah, probably a lot easier, I think, than what I thought it would be. We made a lot of calls this offseason to NFL teams on how they use it, what information's good, what information's too much. And it's defensively, we obviously get our call in, so we're not going to have to signal anything. You don't have to worry about people stealing your signals, which is huge. And then that communication as far as alignments, right? What to alert for. I do think the upper hand is to the offense, because you have the play caller talking to the quarterback on every single look before the ball is snapped, and that's going to be hard to, overcome defensively. So you have to be on point with your disguises. But it'll make sure that we don't get beat because of our misalignments, I would say. And then offensively, it's interesting when you have a quarterback like Petrus, who was so smart, and he's on his 7th year of college football, and he coached last year. So it's like, what information is too much for him, or do we just let him go to work? So making sure that we don't overload him, because he sees everything so fast anyways. But I think with Cephalo in his ear, man, we're going to be able to operate at a very good tempo. Probably even faster than last year, and really open things up.
Nate, Trent Wood with Deseret News. You talked at Mountain West Media Days about how it might take 3 or 4 games to figure out what this team actually is, who they actually are. Do you still think that's true, or do you think you guys maybe have figured out a little bit more with fall camp?
We are getting closer to where we want to be as far as physicality. When people turn the film on, we want them to say this is the most physical team that Utah State's ever fielded, right? And that's our number one objective. Stop the run the ball, right? And then you get your playmakers after that. I'm really pleased with fall camp, with the O-line and D-line, how they battled. That just goes back to the depth I feel like we have right now. It's going to take a lot of bodies, and I feel like we have a good 8 O-linemen that we can play, and we have 5 to 10 guys up front that we can rotate in and stay fresh and always bring it. But we know if we want to get back to winning Mountain West championships, we have to stop the run on defense, right, and be able to run the ball on offense. So that's our emphasis.
Coach Jason Walker again. The secondary on defense, that's where a lot of the returning experience is, especially guys who returned from last year's squad. Like, how important is it for that unit to be able to lead the defense through these early games?
Mm-hmm. The biggest thing, right, that you see early on as you watch even week 0 games, is there's big plays happen because of bad eyes and bad communication. So how do you overcome that? And that's typically with experience, like you're talking about. So it's not just guys that played here, but guys that we've brought either with me from New Mexico State that's been in the system or that's played around college football. So we feel like we have a mature group on the back end, right? And hopefully that can limit these explosive plays early on, because it does take some time to get your eyes settled. You're always antsy the first game or two, and making sure our focus is on point. But even more so with the helmet communication, now we can really dive in on that back end and make sure they're locked in on their keys and in the call that we want. So it'll be a fun group, a bunch of playmakers back there. I think the crowd's going to have a fun time watching them.
Coach Dreiling, Jason Turner from the Herald Journal again. I just wanted to ask you, just looking back at the 3 weeks of fall camp, who are maybe some of the biggest pleasant surprises, whether they were certain players or positional groups?
I would say, McConaughey, our boundary safety, has had a really good fall camp. He came to us from Hutchinson Community College. He was a 1-year player there. He's got 3 years to play here for us. So he's kind of been playing behind Jordan Vincent, who's been in the system with me since New Mexico State. So he's got a great teacher right in front of him, and he's going to have an extremely bright future here. Then you look at the D-line. You have Taz and Migo and Bo. You have Colin Vaughn, and you have Isaiah Bruce. I think just how many bodies we got up top, and then with Gabriel Iniguez leading the way, I'm really pleased with how far our defensive tackles have progressed in spring ball. It was a concern coming out of spring, so we signed a couple more guys. But those guys have competed, they've worked hard, and now they should have a chance to be one of our strongest platforms.
Coach Alex again with KSL. Um, I understand there was a talent show the team had. So I'm curious, what was your talent if you displayed one? And also what was kind of like, who was the guy who was most surprising to actually participate in it, in your opinion?
Yeah. No, no, I didn't have any coaches do it. I didn't want to steal the show, Alex. You know that. We had someone dress up as John Cena versus the Undertaker in a full blown cage match. That was phenomenal. We had a couple people doing magic tricks, jokes. There was some impersonation. So it's so funny because it's all the new players, right, that got here after spring ball. So it's the first time these guys really get I guess, show their personality to the rest of the team. You know, their position group knows them, but no one outside of that. So it's such a cool thing watching them open up and then watching the team, you know, kind of welcome in, and that's kind of the last stage before you're officially a part of the football team. So I don't know if we crowned a winner, but it was a very good performance by all.
And I think to follow up on a previous question, I think I didn't ask it specifically. Who won the barbecue contests?
Barbecue contest that actually came down to the wire there. The linebackers came. They made some waffles with sausage with some sugar on top and bacon all over it. So they walked away. The specialist, I believe, took second. You know, Jacob Garcia, our captain long snapper, he is like a next level chef. He made some type of lamb tacos, which I thought would steal the show, but the little Eggo waffles ended up winning it.
Hey, Coach Eric Franson once again. And what was your reaction to the cow themed helmets that you guys get to wear this opening?
I know. I found out. I feel like after you guys, I had to open my phone to find out. So that was a pretty tight secret here. First thing I told my wife was I'm going to wear my cowboy boots and cowboy hats for the game, and she shot that down. So I am now regrouping on what I'm going to do, but I'm excited. You know, both my grandparents were farmers. I grew up on a farm, so it's cool. And obviously being out here for this Cache Valley and how big the ag department actually is here, it's going to be fun for the environment. And I see T-shirts getting sold all over town with them, so we're going to take it and run.
Hey, Coach Patrick Mayhorn again. I want to ask about Noah Flores. He was put on scholarship earlier this month. He's second on the depth chart at cornerback. What has he done for you this offseason? What was kind of the thing that sold you on putting him on scholarship and moving him up the ranks?
I think it's what he hasn't done. He literally hasn't messed up since I've been here. He had a phenomenal spring. Was right on that fringe, 2 deep, 3 deep, and then fall camp just continued to get better and better and better. And he's one of the hardest workers on the team. Everyone loves him. He's a guy that we'll trust to put out there whenever it is. So he's going to have his first big moment to play here on Saturday, and it's going to be well deserved. Putting him on scholarship was awesome. We snuck his family up here. His mom and dad were here for the moment as well. So that was a special moment for him, and we sure appreciate him.
Coach Dreiling, Jason Turner again. I just wanted to. I noticed on the depth chart that you were talking about injuries, but Tavo was the starter at right guard during both scrimmages. Is that something where, and he's not on the depth chart now, is that something where he's a little banged up right now, or some other guys just really progressed over the last week and a half?
Yeah, he's just a little banged up, so he's just rolling day by day, and we'll see where he's at. Hopefully, we'll have him ready. But that kind of goes back to how we feel about the depth of the O line. It's kind of a next guy up, and if we need someone to step in for a game, then that won't be an issue. But once he is back full force, he's had an unbelievable fall camp, and I think he has got a chance to be one of the better offensive linemen in the Mountain West.
Coach Eric Franson, one more time. How do you feel like through this course of fall camp, the roles and assignments for this coaching staff have kind of come together and been executed over this last month?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge for me was obviously I got a hat in a different ballpark that I'm not used to, right? So I had to be able to delegate a lot more. We added a couple coaches since I got named the interim, and Dave Weimers and Troy Morrill, and they've both done a fabulous job on their respective side of the ball. So it's been a lot more trust on these coaches to pick up some stuff when I'm not there. But then again, I feel like the staff we have in place, I'm so confident in them and what they do and how they teach that they're going to get these players in the right spot, whether I'm in that room or not. So it's fun. Everything's coming together, right? And we're finally ready for our time in the spotlight here on Saturday. Anything else?
Yeah, sorry, Jason Turner again. I just had one quick question. I don't know, you probably haven't had a chance to see much film, but I know Robert Morris didn't allow a lot of yards last year. I think it was like 340 yards a game. So if you've had a chance to really kind of watch film on their defense last year, what about their defense stood out?
Yeah, I think that they're very, very, very physical. They play a four-man front. They love blitzing on third and long, third and XL. But on mix down, first and second down, they just play it. I don't want to say safe, but they're not very aggressive because they're very good at doing their assignment. Kind of the same approach we take is get to third down and go win third down, and handling their job. So hats off to their defense and their head coach on how they teach it. But that's what I'm saying. Like they won 0 games 2 years ago, 4 games last year. They're going the spot that they want to go. It's going to be a very good opponent coming in here at Maverick Stadium, and like I said, if you dig into the stats and look at the returning players coming, this is a group that I think is going to have a fun season at the FCS level. Awesome. Well, appreciate you guys.